amazing soulmate, you're highly welcome back again to this YouTube channel. It's Whitney IY here, and if this is your first time here, you're highly welcome. Please do want to hit the subscribe button and also click on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. So in this particular video, we're making this beautiful short collar double-breasted sleeveless blazer, and also I'll be showing you what to do in case you want to sew in a sleeve to your double-breasted blazer. So if this is something you're interested in, then do well and keep watching. And by the way, I decided to add this belt to it that can be tied in a bow tie form, just to spice it up. And I also decided to have this blazer in an A shape, so I'll be showing you the basics and how I altered this blazer to an A shape, so keep watching. So these are the materials I've been making use of. I've been making use of this fabric. It's a crepe material and it's about 2.5 yards. Also, I'm making use of this lining. You can make use of suit lining as well. And also this ST, it's very important. ST is important for giving your blazer firmness. So we'll dive right into the drafting now. And I also have my pattern paper in place. I did add extra pattern paper to this just for it to be enough for me to draft out the blazer. And I'll be drafting out the front pattern first. And the very first step in drafting out the front pattern is to come down from the beginning of your pattern paper by 6 inches or with 6 inches to get your top line or your starting line. And the reason for coming down by this much numbers is to accommodate, is for that space to accommodate the colors that you'll be drafting. Whatever type of color you are drafting for your blazer, you have to come down by 6 inches from the beginning of your paper just to create space to accommodate drafting of the collar. So I'll bring in my rule to connect the dots to get a straight line like this, and this line is my starting line or top line. Now that this line is drawn, for a double-breasted blazer, you have to go in from the center front on your front pattern by 6 inches or 5 inches, you get. So for me, I'll be going in by 5 inches. I think 5 inches is okay for me. 6 inches is, quite extreme. So 5 inches is moderate for a double-breasted blazer. So going on your center front by 5 inches. So I'm going in by 5 inches, as you can see. And I'll bring in my rule to connect these dots to get a straight line. Now, the reason for going in by 5 inches is you can see that double-breastedness in the blazer. That's what we have here. This 5 inches. That's what this 5 inches is meant for. I hope you understand. So that's just it. So now that I have this, it's time to go ahead and draft out my pattern, my front basic bodice pattern. So the very first step is to mark out how long I want this double-breasted blazer gown to be. So for me, I want it to be 37 inches. Since I'm making a gown, if you don't want to make a gown, you want to make a normal blazer, no problem, but I'm making a blazer gown, so I want it to be 37 inches long, and that is what I'm marking. You can see the way I placed my tape. So right now I'll go ahead and bring in my rule and also connect the dot to get a straight line like this. So now that the length of the gown I want to make is sorted out, if you're not going for a gown, please go ahead and mark out how long you want your blazer to be. Yes. Now that this has been sorted out, the next step is to go ahead and divide the shoulder measurement by 2. So my shoulder measurement is 16 inches. Divided by 2 gives me 8, and that is what I'm marking out. You can see how my tape is being placed. Moving on, the next step is to go ahead and mark out your armhole depth. Now for a blazer, to get the armhole depth, you have to add 2 inches to your round bust measurement. Then you divide it by 6 plus 1.5. That is just add 2 inches to your bust measurement and use the formula for getting your armhole depth. So my round bust measurement is 41 inches. Plus 2 inches gives me 43. So 43 divided by 6 plus 1.5 gives me 8.6 inches. And that is what I'm marking out here from the shoulder point, 8.6 inches. So after marking that out, I'll just go ahead and, mark out the shoulder measurement here on this armhole depth again, just to make sure I get a straight line when connecting the armhole depth back to the shoulder like this. So now that I have this, the next step is to go ahead and, mark out the neckline. So I'll be using 3 by 3 inches for the neck width and for the neck depth. and I'll go ahead and bring in my curve rule to connect the neck width to the neck depth to get the basic round neckline like this. Moving on, from the shoulder point, I'll be coming down by 1.5 inches. This is to get a well-defined shoulder slope for the front blazer. So I've come down by 1.5 inches and I'll connect this to the neck width to get that well-defined shoulder slope. Next, I'll be dividing the round bust measurement by 4 and marking it out. But then I want ease around the bust area, so I'll be adding half an inch to my measurement after dividing it by 4. So my measurement is 41 divided by 4 gives me 10.25 plus half an inch gives me 10.75. So that is what I marked out, and I'll connect this straight down. So if you don't want to add any form of ease around your bust area, no problem, you can just go ahead and mark out your exact measurements, that is your bust divided by 4. If you want ease, you can go ahead and add half an inch for ease. So right now I'm marking out the bust point, that is from the shoulder to nipple measurement, and for me it is 11 inches, which I've marked out already, and I'm using my rule to connect this to get a straight line. So this first line is the chest line and this second line is the bust point. Yes, so the next step is to mark out the waistline, and for a blazer there is nothing like a back waistline or front waistline. You make use of your front waistline as the waistline for both front and back. So my front waistline is 17.5 and that is what I'm marking out, and it's this same 17.5 I will use for my back waistline. So I've connected this to get a straight line, and this is the waistline. So now that I have this, the next step is to mark out the hip line. So to mark out the hip line, you go ahead and mark it out from your waistline. So my hip line is 8 inches from my waistline. Yes, for a very short person it's a 7 inches, for an average height 8 inches, for a tall person 9 inches, and for a tall person 10 inches. So I'm of an average height and I make use of 8 inches as my hip line. So now that this is sorted out, the next step is to mark out the dart line. And to get your dart line, you divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2, which is also the bust span. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 8 divided by 2 gives me 4, and that is what I've marked out on my bust point, on the waistline, on the hip line, and also on the blazer lengths. So I'll go ahead and bring in my rule to connect all of those points together to get a straight line like this. So this is my dart line. So now that I have this, the next step is to go ahead and come down from the bust point by 1 inch like this. And then on the waistline, you come in by half an inch here and half an inch on the other side. Then from the hip line, you go up by 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect all of these points together to get 2 triangles lying on top of each other. And looking at it, you can see that this is just your normal basic dart. So I'll go ahead and connect all of those points together like this. Now that this is done, the next step is to get the midpoint of the shoulder. So you place your tape from this point of the shoulder to this point of the shoulder like this, and you either fold your tape over like this and to get the midpoint, or whatever you get, you divide it by 2 and mark it out. So I've gotten the midpoint of the shoulder, and I'll go ahead and bring in my rule to connect the midpoint straight down to the bust point. Right now, it's time to divide my round waist measurement by 4 plus the 1 inch for the dart intake here. So my round waist measurement is 33 divided by 4 gives me 8.25 plus this 1 inch for the dart intake gives me 9.25. So I'll go ahead and mark out 9.25 here on the waistline, and I'll connect this to the bust measurement like this. So now that I have this, the next step is on the hip line, you divide your round hip measurement by 4. So my round hip measurement is 43 divided by 4 gives me 10.75. That is what I've marked out. So I'll go ahead and connect this to the waistline like this. And on the blazer length, which is the blazer gown length, I'll also mark out my hip measurement divided by 4. I hope you can see this. I'll mark out my hip measurement divided by 4, which is also 10.75, and I will go ahead and also connect it to the hip line. So it is the same measurement I marked out on the hip line that I also marked out on the gown length. Moving on, the next step is to draw out the armhole curve. So to get the armhole curve, you get the midpoint from your shoulder slope to your chest line by placing your tape like this, and you either fold it over like this to get the midpoint, or divide whatever you get by 2 and mark it out. Now you go in from that midpoint by 0.75 on your front pattern, 0.75. So if you want to sew in a sleeve, then you have to come down by ½ an inch on the side like this, and then connect these 3 points together if you want to sew in a sleeve to your double-breasted blazer. But if you want to go sleeveless like me, then there is no need for coming down by ½ an inch on the side. Rather, just connect from the shoulder slope to the 0.75 to the exact bust measurement. You understand? No need for coming down by ½ an inch. But I'm doing this for people that want to sew in a sleeve. So these are what you should have if you want to sew in a sleeve. Now, what we have here is a basic blazer bodice. But for me, I want my blazer to have a little curve with an A shape. So I went out by 2 inches at the blazer length like this, on the blazer length like this. And then I brought in my curve rule to, curve this to the waist to get a nice curve like this. So initially I thought I had a lot of gum stay to iron to the lining to make this shape stand. I added a little bit of shape at the hip, so I thought I had a lot of gum stain, but unfortunately I didn't. So I had to remove the shape at the hip, just use the straight part of my rule to connect from the waist straight down to the 2 inches, just to get only the A shape without no curve at the hip. But if you have gum stain to iron to your lining to give you that nice shape, then go ahead and stick to the shape, or whatever shape you want, or you want your basic blazer, no problem, you just leave it like that without adding any enhanced shape. Moving on, I'll go ahead and draft out the back pattern because I'll be needing the back neckline to draft out the short collar for the front pattern. So because of this single reason, I will have to draft out the back pattern before I can continue with drafting out the short collar on the front pattern. So in drafting out the back pattern, you will have to come down from the beginning of your paper by 1 inch to get the top line or the starting line. So I'll come down from the beginning of my pattern paper by 1 inch like this. So obviously this is a new pattern paper that I'm drafting out the back pattern on. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and bring in my rule and connect the dots to get a straight line like this. So this line is my top line or starting line. Now on the top line, I'll go ahead and divide the shoulder measurement by 2 and mark it out. And my shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2 gives me 8, and that is what I've marked out. Now on the shoulder point, I'll go ahead and mark out the armhole depth, and my armhole depth is 8.6 inches because that is what I also marked out on my front pattern, 8.6 inches. So here I'm marking out my shoulder measurement here just to make sure I get a straight line when I'm connecting the armhole depth straight to the shoulder. So here I'm just double checking to make sure that I marked out my exact armhole depth, which is 8.6 inches for me. So I went ahead to bring in my rule to connect the armhole depth straight down to the shoulder. Next, I'll go ahead and mark out 3 inches for the neck width here, and then 1 inches for the back neck depth. Please take note that 1 inch is a standard number for all individual, for every individual for their back neck depth. So 1 inch for the back neck depth, which I've connected to the neck width. Now on the shoulder, I'll come down by 1 inch to get the shoulder slant or slope, and I'll connect this 1 inch to the neck width. Take note that for the front it was 1.5, but for the back it is 1 inch. Next, I'll divide my round bust measurement by 4 and mark it out, plus ½ an inch ease. Remember, if you want ease around your bust area, you add the ½ an inch. If not, just mark out your exact bust divided by 4 measurement. So this line is the chest line. Next, I'll go ahead and get the midpoint of my armhole like this, of the armhole depth, and I'll mark it out here. And then on this midpoint, I'll go in by ½ an inch here, and I'm going to connect these 3 points together like this. So this is what I talked about earlier on. In case you want to go sleeveless, this is how you also connect the front as well. Just that for the front midpoint, you go in by 0.75. For the back midpoint armhole, you go in by half an inch. I hope you understand and I'm not confusing you. So next I'll go ahead and mark out the waistline, which is 17.5 for me. So remember, like I earlier stated, the front waistline is the waistline for both your front and back. So I marked out 17.5 from my shoulder for the waistline, and this is the waistline. Next, I'll go ahead and mark out the hip line from the waistline, which is 8 inches for me. So my hip line is 8 inches from the waistline. So I went ahead to mark out 8 inches from the waistline, and I'll go ahead and bring in my rule to connect the dots to get a straight line like this. And this line is my hip line. So also I'll be marking out the gown length, that is the blazer length, and it is 37 inches for me, and that is what I am marking out. So like I earlier stated, if you're not making a blazer gown, then you can go ahead and just mark out the length you want for your blazer. So for me, 37 inches it is for me. And I'll go ahead and bring in my rule to connect this to get a straight line. Please always take note of the way my tape is being placed while marking every details out. So this is the blazer length. So now that we have this, next is to do the back tightening. And for the back tightening, I'll be going in on the waist center back by 0.75, and I'll connect this to the neckline like this. So you go in by 0.75 on your center back on the waistline, and then you connect to the neckline like this, and you also connect this to the blazer length like this. So now that we have this, the next step is to go ahead and mark out that line, which obviously is 4 inches for me. Now, if I am to mark out those 4 inches on the chest line, the blazer length, and the hip line, I'll be having a slanted line, and I do not want that. I want to have a straight that line. So to achieve that, I will have to add the back tightening to the 4 inches, making it 4.75. So I'm marking out 4.75 on the chest line, on the hip line, and on the blazer length. I hope you do understand. So I'll go ahead and mark out the 4.75 on the chest line here like this. On the hip line, 4.75. So add your dart line to the back tightening and mark it out on the chest line, on the hip line, and on the blazer length. I hope you understand. If it seems confusing to you, just drop a question in the comment section and I'll try as much as possible to explain to you. So connecting them right now, you can see that it gives me a straight line. So moving on, after doing this, I'll go ahead and bring in my tape and come in by half an inch, and also go out by half an inch on both sides of the waistline. And on the hip line, I'll go up by 2 inches like this, and I'll bring in my roll and connect this half an inch on both sides of the waist to the chest line, and I'll also connect this half an inch on both sides of the waist to the 2 inches I came up with on the hip line like this. So you can see we have the normal dart. So after doing this, I'll go ahead and divide my waist measurement by 4 plus the 1 inch dart, which is 9.25. I've marked it out, so I'll connect this to the bust measurement like this. Now on the hip line, I'll divide my round hip measurement by 4, which is 10.75. I've marked it out, and I'll go ahead and also connect this to the hip line like this. So right now I have to double check my waistline to be certain I marked it out well. And on my blazer length, I went ahead to divide the round hip measurement by 4 and mark it out as well. And I brought in my rule to, connect the measurement back to the hip. And in connecting, I realized I made a mistake on the hip line. I didn't mark out my exact hip measurement, so I corrected it and marked out my exact hip measurement, which was 10.75. And I had to reconnect this back to the waistline after correcting my mistakes. And then I connected this to the blazer length like this. And here I repeated the shape I did on the front pattern, which is going out by 2 inches at the hem, at the blazer length here, 2 inches, and then bringing my curve rule to connect this straight down to the waist like this, which I told you that I later just used my straight rule to connect the 2 inches to the waist, eliminating the curve at the hip, because I later realized my gum stay won't be enough to, iron to the lining to make the shapy effects stand. So I hope you do understand. Moving on, from the neck width, I'll be going in by 1 inch like this. But before doing this, you have to get the midpoint of your shoulder by placing your tape like this and folding it over, or dividing what you have by 2 and marking out the midpoint. Then you connect the midpoint straight to the chest line like this. Now remember the 1 inch that I went in with on the neck width, I will redraw this back to the 1 inch neck depth like this. Now the reason for going in by 1 inch from the neck width is so that the collar of your blazers does not feel tight around your client's neck, and so that it sits perfectly around your client's neck or your neck. So right now, this is the new neckline for the back pattern. So for those that would want to sew in a sleeve to their blazer, double-breasted blazer, you just go ahead and come down by ½ inch on the side here like this. As you can see, you come down by ½ inch here, and then you go ahead and bring in your curve rule and redraw this back to your armhole midpoint like this, if you want to sew in a sleeve. But if you don't want to sew in a sleeve, no need for coming down by ½ inch. No need. The next step, I'll go ahead and measure this new back neckline like this. I'll make sure I measure like 2 or 3 times to make sure I have an accurate number like this. You can see that I'm taking the measurement of the new back neckline, and here I'm having 4.25, so I'll take note of that because this is very important in drafting out an accurate collar for your blazer. So 4.25, I'll take note of this, and I'll go ahead and bring in the front pattern to draft out the shawl collar. Now my front pattern is here, and the very first step in drafting out the shawl collar is to write down the measurement I took on my back neckline so I do not forget. And also I'll go ahead and go in from the neck width by 1 inch, the same thing I did on the back neckline. So I'll go in by 1 inch, and next is to determine the breaking point. Now the breaking point means where the folding of your collar stops. Now the breaking point can be 1 inch above your waistline or in between your bust point and waistline. And for me, I always love it to be in between the bust point and the waistline. So I've gone ahead to mark in between the bust point and the waistline, and I'll go ahead and bring my rule to extend this point out like this. So the breaking point is indicated in the picture above. I will upload the picture there so you'd see it. So right now, go ahead and connect this breaking point from this edge here straight to the 1 inch I went in with on the neckline from the neck width, and I will extend this line upward like this into the 6 inches space like this. Are you seeing it? Into that plenty space upward. So right now I have this slanted line. You can see the way it's connected, right? So now that I have this slanted line, the next thing is to mark out the measurement I took from the back neckline, which is 4.25. So this is where it comes in play. So I'll mark it out on this line upward like this from the neckline, and I'll go ahead and bring in my rule to mark out this point like this. That is, I'll just extend this point outside with this slanted line like this. Once this is done, I'll go ahead and mark out how wide I want the collar to be, and an ideal wideness for a blazer collar is 4 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark out 4 inches from this point like this, and I'll connect this 4 inches to this edge of the breaking point by using the curved part of my rule like this. So you can use any part of your curve rule depending on the shape you're going for your shawl collar. But for me, this is the shape I am settling for. So you can use any part of your curve rule. So this is it. As you can see, I'm just trying to make sure I arrive at a nice shape for my collar. So you can even do it like this all through, just a curve all through, whichever you want. Right now, the pattern for the double-breasted shawl collar blazer is ready. and I'll go ahead and bring in my scissors to cut. But before I cut, make sure you extend the blazer length outward like this, and then you can go ahead and cut. So please watch how this is being cut out. I'll cut out the darts like this. So this is how you cut out a shawl collar, and as you can see, the shawl collar is part of the piece 1, and I labeled it piece 1 and piece 2 for easy identification. So when cutting out your fabric, you leave half an inch all round, except at the hem where you'll be leaving 1 inch for the main fabric and half an inch for the lining hem. You understand? But for the other part, it's half an inch. Now for this piece 1, the main fabric is going to serve as both the lining and the fabric. You understand, for the piece 1. Now for the piece 2, the main fabric will serve as the fabric, and then the lining will serve as the lining correctly. Just only the piece 1 that the main fabric will serve as both the lining and the fabric. So I'll go ahead and bring in the back pattern and cut. As you can see, this is me cutting it out. Yeah, I'm cutting out the darts as well. So at this point, I realize I have fucked up. Remember, I stated earlier on that it is only when you want to sew in a sleeve that you come down by half an inch at the side, and then you connect as your armhole and cut through. So I totally forgot, and I went to cut through the armhole of like as if I'm attaching a sleeve, and obviously this double-breasted blazer is sleeveless, and I didn't even get to realize this mistake until I have cut out the fabric before I realized this mistake, and there was nothing I could do rather. So please, when cutting out the armhole, cut out the armhole of sleeveless, not the armhole if you want to attach a sleeve. You know what I mean? Cut the armhole of sleeveless if you're going for sleeveless. If you are attaching a sleeve, cut the armhole of you're attaching a sleeve. Do not make this mistake that I made. So guys, this is it. I have cut out the fabric, and you can see I left half an inch all round. Then at the armhole, because this is sleeveless, I didn't get to leave half an inch at all. There was no need for leaving half an inch. So this is it, guys. Then at the end, you can see I left 1 inch for the main fabric and half an inch for the lining piece. As you can see, half an inch at the end for the lining and 1 inch for the main fabric. As you can see, this is what I was talking about. And for the piece 1, the main fabric is serving as both the lining and the fabric. I hope I'm making sense, because at this point I was already pissed with myself for making that mistake on the armhole, because that would make the armhole big, because I'm not attaching a sleeve and I want to cut out the armhole for a sleeve. By the way, anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and iron stay to the main fabrics. I'll go ahead and iron stay to the fabrics and not to the lining. So once I'm done with that, I'll come back and show you. So this is the back pattern, and I've used it to cut out the fabrics. As you can see, the fabrics and the lining. And at the hem, I left 1 inch as usual, and for the lining, I left half an inch at the hem. And at the armhole here, I didn't get to leave any sewing allowance because it is sleeveless, so there is no need for sewing allowance. Now for the rest part, I left half an inch, as you can see. And right now, I'll go ahead and iron in stay to the fabrics. I'll iron in stay to the fabrics. So this is it. I have ironed in stay to the main fabric. So it was at this point I realized that there is not enough gum stay to iron on the lining, so I would not be going for this particular shape that I wanted to go for, this particular little bit of hip enhancement I wanted to go for. So right now I'll get to pick out the main fabric and set the lining aside, as you can see. So whatever I'm doing to the main fabric is what I will do to the lining as well. So right now I will open up the piece 1 like this. As you can see, the piece 1 that has the shawl collar attached to it. So I'll open it up like this. I hope you can see this. And I'll bring in the piece 2. So I'll bring in the piece 2, which is also the front pattern. I'll bring it up, and I'm going to be closing the darts. So I'll flip it over like this, making sure the right sides are facing each other. Let me show you. So this is it. So I'll flip it, making sure the right side are facing each other, and I'm going to go ahead and close up the dart using 1/2 inch, and I'll do the same thing on this other side of the front pattern. I'll place the other side of the piece 2 on it like this, making sure the right sides are facing each other, and I'll go ahead and close up the dart using 1/2 inch allowance. That is the 1/2 inch allowance. So make sure you sew on the 1/2 inch allowance. It's very important. So guys, I've brought in the back pattern, which is the piece 3 and the piece 4, and I've also gone ahead to iron ST on the fabrics. So I'll go ahead and bring out the fabrics and set the linings aside. You get, but take note that whatever I'm doing to the main fabric is what I'm also doing to the lining. The way I'm joining the main fabric is the way I'm joining the lining. So this is the piece 4. The fabric is out as well. This is the back patterns. I hope you don't understand. So I'll go ahead and open up the piece 4 like this, as you can see, and I'll flip it over like this, making sure the right sides are facing each other, and I'll go ahead and close up the center back. You get, the piece 4 is the center back, so I'll go ahead and close up the center back. So I'll just use my pin to hold it in place like this, so you would understand what is going on. So I'll close up the center back using 1/2 inch, and after closing it up, I'll go ahead and open it like this and bring in the piece 3 and place it like this on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the darts. After closing up the center back, you close up the dart using 1/2 inch like this. So you place the piece 3 like this, making sure the right sides are facing each other like this, and you close up the dart using the 1/2 inch allowance. Please always make sure you sew exactly on the 1/2 inch allowance that you left while cutting out the fabric. It's very, very important. And after cutting it, make sure you press it open, you iron it. That is what I mean by press it open. You iron it open. So don't worry, once I'm done with all of that, I'll get to show you. So right now I'll bring in the back pattern once I'm done, and this is it. I am done with the back pattern. We're joining the back pattern, that is the piece 3 and piece 4, and this is what I have. And as you can see, I've ironed it. So this is what I mean by iron it open or press it open. So you can see the way it's relaxed. You pressing it open makes it relax. So right now I'll bring in the front pattern. As you can see, I've also gone ahead to join and iron. You can see the way I ironed it. So when placing it, make sure that the right side of the front pattern is facing the right side of the back pattern, and you go ahead and close up the side using the 1/2 inch allowance. Using the 1/2 inch allowance, and you go ahead and bring in the other part of the front pattern and place it like this, using and close up the sides using the 1/2 inch allowance as well, like this. Are you seeing it? So you close up the sides, and also you close up the shoulders using 1/2 inch allowance. You close up the shoulder using 1/2 inch allowance like this. Are you seeing it? You use 1/2 inch allowance. So once I'm done, I'll come back and show you guys. So whatever I'm doing to the fabric right now, I'm also doing it to the lining. So this is it. I've closed up the shoulders, as you can see, and I also went ahead to close up the sides. So right now it's time to join this part of the shawl collar together. So I'll go ahead and place my shawl collars like this, making sure the right sides are facing each other, and I'll go ahead and close up these points like this. So I'm just using my pin to hold it in place to explain how I'm going to attach this part of the shawl collar. So I'll place it like this. I'll close it up using 1/2 inch, and once I'm done closing up this part of the shawl collar with 1/2 inch, it will be time to sew it to the back neckline. And in sewing it to the back neckline, you have to make sure that this shawl collar joining lies directly on the center back. You get, it has to align. So you go ahead and use your pin to hold it in place. That is after closing up that part of the shawl collar with 1/2 inch. You go ahead and attach it to your back neckline, and make sure that the joining of the shawl collar aligns with the center back, and you close it up using 1/2 inch like this. I hope you understand. So I'll go ahead and close it up with 1/2 inch like this, after closing up the part of the shock collar here with 1/2 inch, I'll go ahead and close up here with 1/2 inch. So I'll do that now and come back with it. So guys, this is it. I have, done that. As you can see, I have attached it. So you can see this joining here. You can see the way it aligns with the center back, and you can see the way I joined it to the neckline. As you can see it aligns with the center back. So in joining the shock collar to the back neckline, you would notice that you might get difficulty at this point. So just go ahead and give it a little notch. As you can see, just zoom it so you see what I'm talking about. So you give it a little notch here so you can be able to sew it easily at that sharp point when joining the shock collar to the back neckline. I hope you understand. At the shoulder point, you might have some form of difficulty, so you just have to notch it. So everything I've done on the main fabric, I've also done on the lining, as you can see, and I've also ironed it. I've ironed the seams open. I've pressed the seams open. So right now it's time to join the lining to the fabric, and in doing that, as you can see, I'm putting the right sides of the lining on the right side of the main fabric like this. Are you seeing it? It's as if I'm wearing the main fabric a cloth, you get. So this is it. The right sides are facing each other. So right now I'll go ahead, I'm just trying to arrange it so you'd see the picture, you understand what I'm trying to say. So right now it's just for me to close up the armhole. So when doing this, make sure the right sides are facing each other to close up one of the armhole. So after doing that, you can go ahead and close up this part of the armhole or one part of the armhole like this, and you make sure that the shoulders aligns with each other. That is, the lining shoulder and the main fabric shoulder aligns with each other, and also the seams aligns with each other, and you close it up using 1/2 inch. You go ahead and close up one of the shoulders. Now after closing one of the shoulder up, as you can see, can you see this? So obviously I have flipped the fabric. You can see that I've flipped the lining to the right side now. I've flipped the lining to the right side, as you can see. Please just watch. I don't know how best to explain this. So the next phase right now, after flipping the lining to the right side, you go ahead and place this other armhole like this. In placing it, it's going to be the right sides facing each other. That is as if the lining is kissing the fabric. It's as if the lining is kissing the main fabric in closing up the other armhole. So this is it. I've gone ahead to also close up this other armhole using 1/2 inch. I don't know if my explanation was well detailed on how you can join the fabric and the lining together, or whatever form that confuses you. Just let me know in the comment section, and I'll try as much as possible to respond to you. And please watch to see whatever I'm doing. So right now I've flipped the lining and the fabric to the wrong sides, as you can see, making sure the right sides are facing each other. So right now it's time to close up the hem using 1/2 inch. So I'll go ahead and close up the hem using 1/2 inch, and once I'm done, I'll come back and show you. So this is it, guys. I have closed up the hem using 1/2 inch. Can you see that? I've closed up the hem, that is joined the lining and the fabric at the hem using 1/2 inch. So it's time to close up this remaining part of the double-breasted blazer. So in closing it up, you have to make sure that the breaking points of the fabric and of the lining matches with each other. You have to pin each important point, and then from this point you're going to drag out these two pieces. Just watch, please. You're going to drag it out like this to get the shock collar joining. That joining of the shock collar, you have to get that part. So as you can see, I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it. So I've seen it, and I'm trying to pin each important point together, so it does not seem as if the breaking point of the lining is not aligning with the breaking point of the fabric. It has to align. So for this, the shock collar joining of the fabric and the shock collar joining of the lining also has to align. As you can see, I'm pinning them together. Are you seeing this? So you can see they align, the shock collar joining for the lining and the fabrics aligns with each other. So I'll go ahead and now close this up using 1/2 inch after pinning the important points together on this side. So once I've done this side, I've joined this side together, I will go over to the other side as well, and also, you know, drag it out from the other part aside like this. Are you seeing the way I'm dragging it out? Then you can see the shawl collar joinings of the lining and of the fabrics are together. The way I pinned it on the other side is showing on this other side as well. So I'll go ahead and join it to 1/2 inch, and then I will open the center back lining to, you know, flip it over to the right side. So guys, this is it. I have joined it, and you can see I have ironed, you know, the shawl collar to the breaking point. As you can see, this is it. Are you seeing this? So I've ironed, and this is the center back that I, you know, loosed open to, you know, flip everything out to the right side after joining everything together. So I'll go ahead and use my needle and thread to, you know, do a ladder stitch, invisible stitch on it, a very neat one, so that it's not easy to identify how did you flip it over to the right side. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll get to, you know, show you guys. So you can see the shawl collar it's giving, and in sewing the button, you sew one button here, one button here. Are you seeing it? One button here, one button here on the right side of your blazer. One button here, one button here, one button here, one button. You can leave 4-inch space before the next button down, 4-inch space. Then on the right side of your double-breasted blazer, on the left side, sorry, you go ahead and, you know, put in your buttonholes. On the right side is the button stand, on the left side is where the buttonholes will be. So guys, that is it. So if you did enjoy this video, and if this video was helpful to you, do well to hit the subscribe button, and also don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It goes a long way in, you know, supporting this channel, supporting me. So this is the beautiful double-breasted blazer. As you can see, it's looking all pink, and this is the bed that, you know, I decided to, you know, spice it up with, because I don't think I will attach a button to my double-breasted blazer. Probably I'll just use a bed for it, and maybe a pressing button on the inner, you know, to hold the inner part in place. So guys, that is it. See you on my next video.